Well, I think you learned something last night, boy, the topsy-turviness of this league. I mean, to have all those big games. I thought Robbie Hummel did a great job on TV talking about, there's going to be so many big games because of TV. Everybody wants the big games late in the season once football's done. And there are a lot of big games. And, those games last night, a couple things come. Big conference games, number one. Number two, injuries and illnesses and all those things going to play a factor with some teams. And with our big win Saturday, it was great because we came off a couple of, at least one disappointing performance, and got a good day off Sunday, and we've had a good couple of days of practice. Really proud of the effort on Saturday, getting back to who we are by defending, rebounding, and running. Points up. Our break was phenomenal. Jeremy did a great job of running our team in that respect. But our other three guys, Jackson, Cohen, and Carson, all did their job. I've been continued to be excited about the development of those freshmen. Thought the job Jordan did was phenomenal, and Cam came in and gave us some big minutes, and it looked more like Cam was like he was more in the beginning of the season, and Jordan has just gotten better each and every game. Unfortunately, now we play one of the hottest teams in the league, which we did when Illinois came in. They were a 12-game winning streak. These guys have won 8 out of 10. We all looked at Illinois and how many threes they took, and Wisconsin takes 30, 32 threes a game. So they're shooting it. They've got maybe the best backcourt duel in Boyd and Black. I don't know in the league, but I think one of the better ones in the country. Boyd is quick, gets a lot of things done, and Blackwell is, unfortunately, if I wasn't playing against him, I think he's one of my favorite players because he guards it. He's tough, he's strong, he can get to the rim, he can shoot threes, he can pass it. He is definitely one of the better players in the league. Winner is the big, strong guy who is playing better and better. He's been there, like our kid Kohler. He's put in his time there, and Coop. But he's a good rebounder and a pretty good shooter. The kid that's been impressive lately has been the Rap kid, who I think's had 2 games where he's had 4 threes, including last night's. And he made 83 threes for Portland last year. Doesn't matter at what level you're playing, 83 threes is a lot. It's always challenging in this league playing on the road, and 2 teams go on the road last night and win big road games. Purdue played the best I've seen them. It just goes to prove that they're still every bit as good as everybody thought. And, of course, Wisconsin going there, and without Stojanovich, that was a problem for Illinois. He's a pretty good defender, and with those 2 guards, that made it hard. But going on the road is always difficult. Going to Wisconsin, since it's been kind of games that we've played big time over the years, it's one of the better places to play in the league. So, questions, I'll answer them.
Tom, could Jordan be like Jace last year, someone who mid-season or so got more of an opportunity, made the most of it, and is kind of like a mid-season acquisition?
Yeah, he could be. I said he's a cross between that and maybe a Max Christie, that he defends better, he rebounds better than we thought he would. He's been a pleasant surprise. You say that, and somebody will say, well, you didn't think he'd be good when you recruited him. It's not that at all. I thought he'd be really good when we recruited him, but I thought it would take a little longer. I thought the things that he showed, I thought he could shoot it well. I thought he was a very solid player. He's been way tougher, way stronger, way more aggressive. His sense of urgency, both on defense and going to the boards, has been phenomenal, and now his shot is getting better and better and better, which he's always been a good shooter. So, I think, he was playing 17, 18 minutes a game. Now he's up into the mid-20s, and I think he's been something good, and especially with the fact that Divine is out for the year, it even doubles it.
Watching those games last night, this is more of a philosophical question about basketball, but I think it was 69 threes in one game and 78 three attempts in another game. When you look at where the game is headed, probably maybe last year, what's your thought on that? From a veteran?
Yeah, you can say older. Veteran, nice play on words. I'm an ancient coach. This is the way it works. I think Charles Barkley, I love Charles Barkley. I love his commentary. I love listening to him because, he says the big guys are going to come back, And he said that a couple years ago, and then Purdue had that run with their big guys. They're really good in there with their big guys now. Illinois got a different, they're really big, which probably hurt them a little bit defensively, but they're really big, and yet they shoot the threes, That's the next thing. But I think, these games that have been in the 30s with threes, what happened last night, I thought in the Purdue game, is both teams went a little smaller. And Wisconsin will do that, go smaller and put real shooters that have size and quickness. That makes it even more difficult. But to me, everything's a fad, everything becomes a fad. We just watched the Super Bowl where, this day and age, right, everything's passing, RPOs, this and that, and all of a sudden Kenneth Walker and the whole game was about defense and running the ball. I still think that it gets back to that in tournament time, and I've always believed since we won it that I try to prepare my team for tournament time. Would I like to have a little better shooting team? Sure. I think we would have if Divine would have kept coming on, but if in all honesty, if KG would have been playing him, because he's a forward that can really shoot it. And and I think we would have if last year at this time you didn't think the two guys leaving left. They're both pretty good shooters. So it's not like we're not trying to recruit that way, but it's also, I don't know if that's going to win down at the end. I don't know if you can shoot it well from 33s a game, 5 or 6 games in a row, or 3 games in a row in a Big Ten tournament or ACC tournament. I don't know. Time will tell. But Charles always said it's going to come back, and I think that's true. I think most fads, it does come back. And we'll see.
Thomas, looking back at the tape, how you thought Jeremy handled all the minutes? Because, he had to kind of steal a minute there. But
it was too many minutes for him. He handled it well as he can handle it. But, what we need out of Jeremy and what I've been preaching to him lately, he's got to become just a dog defender, a bird dog defender. He's got to up that a little bit more, like the Cleveses and the Waltons and the Lucases did, even the Tum Tum, I need, how many things can you need out of him? A lot. But that's the position he plays, and I think for him to take his game to the next level, that part is going to be important too. So when you play that many minutes, you can't push it. You can't do all those things. Now, it was an overtime game, but we talked about that. I really talked about it to my team. I had a big meeting with my 5 subs, and I've really been enjoying these 2 days of practice because I said they got to do more and we got to give them more of a chance. You still look last year, at the end of the year, it wasn't quite everybody playing 23 minutes like we had at the beginning, but at the end, there was nobody playing 30-some minutes either. We still won with strengths and numbers, and we still won with not wearing people down. So we'll keep an eye on that, and he's going to play a lot of minutes, but he's not going to play 40 minutes a game or 38 minutes a game.
Curious, I look at Wisconsin's roster, senior. I wonder if the way they beat Michigan on the road, they just beat Illinois, if the older teams, if there's a correlation maybe that experience.
Yeah, I always think experience does matter some, but in that game, they had a couple guys at Michigan that made some threes in that second half, and that's going to happen sometimes. And yet, I could show you film on the Minnesota game, the other games where they're not making them, and all of a sudden they're 20 down. They've had a little bit of a problem like us. They haven't started out so well in a lot of games, and even last night they were down, but those threes got them back in it. But, as I said, Boyd is really good, but Blackwell is, to me, a special player in this league, and I think a guy that's going to play basketball a lot when he's done because of size, strength, smarts, and he just kind of controls the game his own way. He's never out of control, and I think he put a lot of people last night in a position to score. Rap, he drove it, turned around, pitched back. That's what impressed me a lot about Wisconsin. They've got very good guard play, and yet they're veterans. They have veterans like Winter at the, now they got one freshman in there, but Winter, and then Rap played a lot more last night. He played 30 minutes. I don't know what year he is. Is he a senior too? He's a transfer, I know, from Portland. I don't know what he is. Junior. So he might be a redshirted sophomore, who knows? But, I think experience always helps, and then having some guys, they've got a pretty good mixture. They get Boyd in because they lost their point guard. But boy, when you have a guy as good as Blackwell, who's been in the program 3 years, as good as Winter, has been in the program 4 years, that I think that really benefits. Like I think it benefits us.
I've never been on a recruiting trip with you, but I'd love to see your clip notes, you and the coaches on players you see for what you really feel. And I'm wondering, Jordan Scott looks comfortable taking big shots, looks comfortable even mixing up offensive rebounding. Is he where you thought he'd be, or?
Hell no. We're not that good either. We can't see all those things. I say that because take this the right way too. He's most of the time, I think, players get so built up that they're disappointments when they come. If not necessarily to the coach, but definitely to the fans, media, because of all the accolades everybody gets. He was kind of hidden. He was in a different AAU program, had a really good high school coach, and he came from Grand Hills High School, and he had a really good AAU coach that was tougher than nails, and yet a good guy. And then he came from, stock. His dad played at Miami of Florida. His mom played at Maryland. They were both good players. And so he has exceeded some of my expectations, especially in the areas that most freshmen struggle on. I've been lucky because Cam, if he would have stayed healthy, Cam is tougher than nails. Andre Hudson-ish, tougher than nails, does his job. And he really came on in the last couple of games. He's getting better. And he was getting better early, but Jordan is a guy that, even starting. Some of the times I didn't start him because I didn't want him to get nervous when we're on a winning streak, and all of a sudden, I don't think anything bothers him. It's kind of nice. I get a lot more nervous than he gets. So he's just got this demeanor about him, which normally those kind of guys are laid back, but his aggressiveness and sense of urgency and is really kind of, he's going to be a fun kid to coach because he gets it.
That's what I wanted to ask you about is on the recruiting trail. How soon can you identify some of that? Because when you look at Scott and Ward, they're not overwhelmed and not all freshmen come in like that. Is that something you can see when they're younger? Or?
Yeah, sometimes you can, but I got to admit, sometimes, you aren't around them enough to know what they're. You can see toughness of a Cam Ward in in a pickup game or in a regular game, but I don't know, sometimes we perceive guys differently too. We stereotype guys differently too. If he's not built like Adonis, we say, well, he's not that tough. I laugh with Steve Smith a little bit because he was always pretty tough. He was just wiry strong. He never looked the part. And in all honesty, Jordan's aggressiveness and Cam's is, I think, unfreshman-like, Now, they're not always the greatest at everything, but I use the word sense of urgency because I appreciate that. Some guys are laid back and some guys are more aggressive. I've been lucky that I got two guys that are pretty aggressive. One looks it and acts it, and one doesn't look it and acts it, and that's a good surprise.
Tom, you mentioned fears minutes, and obviously Denham has not been asked to play a great amount of minutes. If you were to run into like a foul trouble situation before Divine went down, we all knew what that could look like. I wonder, do you have sort of an emergency plan?
Yeah, I do. And right now it is Denham, and I'll tell you why. His dad's been sicker than a dog for 2 days, not even here. And Denham's had his best 2 practices of the year. Now, part of that was after I came in, so I told his dad, stay home. I don't need him here. But it's just a different kind of point guard, he doesn't make many mistakes. He guards very well. Extended period of time, I don't know, if he got hurt. If your best player got hurt on any team, if Blackwell gets hurt, I promise you they're not as good. If he gets in foul trouble at the beginning of the game, I promise you, did Illinois last night when Stevanovic went down, or Stojakovic. UP, man, Izzo, 4 letters, simple, basic. It's a lot easier. But I think when those things happen, this day and age, everybody's going to be in trouble. Wait till by next year. If a quarterback goes down on any team, because now we've made it so it's illegal to have a backup quarterback, right? We're going to go back to before you guys were all born, the guy named Tom Matty who played for the Colts. He was the running back and the backup quarterback. That's what we're going to have now. So we're all going to have those kind of issues. But I actually do feel more comfortable as the year's gone on and watching some teams and realizing there's some guys that just run the team. Jeremy is starting to do more and more things, Talk about him scoring more, but he's doing that because he's shooting so well at the free throw line. But he's still, you get 15 assists, 17 assists in a game. That means you're making other people better, and that's what I appreciate the most. Is somebody else going to give us that? There might not be many people that ever played here that could give us what he's given in that. He's in the top 3-4 guys that ever played here. So, yeah, it's always a concern, but I don't live worrying about injuries. I do live worrying about foul problems a little bit. But we got to do a little better job getting him a little more time. Jeremy's still going to get a lot of time. Met with Jeremy about it too. But what I liked is I had this meeting on Sunday just with my 5 subs. And I showed them what strength in numbers meant. That's why it's on the wall there. I talked to them about what I thought it did for us last year. And I think that they all took it to heart because the couple of practices we've had since have been better. With them, it's been better. And, sometimes, as you said, you got to give somebody a chance. And last year it was easy to do that because everybody was there. This year we had a little separation. I don't think it's going to be this, but I don't think it's going to be this. I think it's going to be like this. If that makes any sense.
You've mentioned, you was talking about Jordan hidden a little bit. Now, a guy like Blackwell, you lamented, I don't know if you were joking or not, about not recruiting him when he was a Michigan guy, but I'm just wondering, like a guy like that who was in the state, who comes to play as he does, do you ever go back and go, okay, what was he then and what was our evaluation of him and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to fire all my assistants that went through that with me. The problem is the head coach went down and saw him too. And the worst part is, his dad's an incredible guy, played at Illinois, good guy, went to Brotherway's, good school. By the time I really started focusing in on him, a little later than normal, he's the type of kid they gave him the most attention. He committed there like really early. And everything about Blackwell I like. Family, where he played, I like the fact that he didn't need to be, the dating process didn't need to be forever. He knew what he wanted. He didn't know how it would turn out at Wisconsin, and I don't think they did, But that's the beauty of number one. Tells you a little bit about, we're all going to live and die. You look at how are your parents. If they had heart problems, are you worried about it? If they had this, are you worried about it? Well, it can be that way in athletics too. Jordan had two parents that played, and here's Blackwell, who, you should have known he'd be a smart player. You should have known. So, I don't have many regrets, but that would have been one, just because he has the whole package, if you ask me. He's a player. He's a good person. I listened to him speak last night. He does a hell of a job, and his dad's a good guy, So I like to fire my assistants, but I probably have to fire myself.
These 5 days between games, I think they're the most in a Big Ten, between Big Ten games for you. How have you guys been using the time? Is it a good time for you to have some time when you're trying to chase the title down the end, or would you rather sort of jump back in, try to springboard that Illinois momentum and just keep that going?
You know what? I think we needed a day, an extra day. We had 2-day prep there and a couple of them, and I think the one advantage you get at this time of year, you get a little rest. You get to work on yourself a little more instead of coming back and get back at 2 a.m. and trying to have a walkthrough practice and try to have a practice day before a game and get better yourself. We're still trying to get ourselves better. So, and then you got this 6-7 game stretch at the end. Who knows? If we lose the game, I'll say, boy, that sucked. We did a poor job of going about whatever we did in those days off. If we win the game, we'll say that was perfect, But I think, being the veteran guy, or what did you call me, ancient, or what was your word? Older. I think I look at it at this was a good thing for us, no matter what happens, because we needed a little break. We got a chance to really look at ourselves again. I got a chance to have some meetings with players. I think I got a lot out of it so far with 2 days left. So we'll see, I'm going to look at it, we got a lot out of it, no matter how we play and how we do. I really feel this was beneficial. Practice has been really good. I like that.
Larry mentioned about a potential calling Jordan a mid-season addition. It really seems like Cam might be that guy for you guys. Wondering, with the wrist injury, how he's seen it over the last couple of weeks. He said afterward that he got rid of the tape and it's started to help him. You kind of tell a little bit.
Well, it was a tendon and everything in there, and the problem is it's hard to work on your shot when you can't do that. And for the most part, this can't still happen with him. It's more this. And so, he's got that, and he doesn't have that. It's just different. And so that's not going to change till the end of the year. What I think he's learning to do is, he's got to be a lockdown defender for us, because he's the one kind of forward, big guy that can guard multiple positions. It's not like Coop does a decent job, but the other two guys are going to guard big guys, Or Cam can guard a guard, he can guard a center. And we could play a little differently with him. And then he struggled at the free throw line. He's getting better at that just by reps, but still not going to get great until the season ends and everything gets healed up. So Yeah, I think he could be a guy right now coming on at the right time because of the teams we got to play and the way we're going to have to play. And I hope you're right.
Necessary, like we mentioned about Jeremy's minutes, but obviously Carson and Jackson's minutes, we were up 2. I mean,
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. Like against Michigan, Carson, Coop got in foul trouble, and Jackson ended up playing, 37 minutes. That just not. I did not put him in the right position there. So now that we got Cam, I think where he's feeling good too, and Jesse can still help us, just a little more limited. But Cam can help us in a lot of ways because of a number of different people. It doesn't matter who they play, we can play him, and he can cover a bigger guy. He can cover a more athletic guy.
I also wanted to ask you about the stats in Blackwell. A lot. They'll shoot about 6 free throws per game. Especially with how valuable Jeremy and Jordan have been lately. How do you balance? You said you wanted Jeremy to be a dog defender and Jordan to be an aggressive defender. How do you balance that and then also play without fouling?
Yeah, well, for the most part, we played pretty aggressive defense. We've been pretty good defensively, and we haven't fouled a lot. We do it we get some help from our bigs, as we did against Wagler, So that's part of the game planning that we have to do because of the situation we have. And I think my staff have done a good job. I think the players have done a good job. I just know that, I'll give you an example, like on ball screens, I think Jeremy's capable of not getting any help and getting through those. And he's growing in that area. The lateral movement, because of the injury he had, it took a while to come back through too. And but I think his whole game is getting better, and keeps working on his shooting. He's shooting it better in practice. Cohen's shooting it great in practice. So I think some of it is mental in their heads, and we got to get through that too. But defending without fouling is critical. We're getting to the line okay 20 times a game. I don't have my stats in front of me. Aren't they about the same? They're just taking more threes than us, I think.
Just Boyd Blackwell specifically.
Get more, right. But their bigs don't, because they're always out shooting threes. And, so we have to stop that penetration with more than just our guards. How's that?
2 more, Capo and
Hey, Tom, phrase you used to use is players sometimes have a little more hip to their hop. They play well and feel good. Have you noticed that with Kurt Tang at all since he made that shot? How's he?
Kurt is one of your favorite players, one of your more frustrating players, because he can really shoot it, and he hasn't shot quite as good this year. I don't mean just in games. I mean even in practice. And I think there's, some people handle pressure different than other people. Some people, like if you came to a practice last year when he was out on the scout team, he drove me crazy because he never missed a shot. And so, hasn't been quite the same, but he's still young. He's almost a freshman because of the little he played last year. And I think he is progressing. The biggest problem is being athletic enough to be guarding some of the guards he has to guard, but I think he's making progress in that. And you're right, if you're thinking about what you're doing, then you don't react the same way, and I think he's getting a bit more comfortable in everything, and hopefully, because when he hits a couple of threes, it makes a difference. Every shot he takes looks like it's going in. He's got a beautiful shot, and when they all start going in at a higher rate, we're going to be a better team, and I still think for sure that can happen this year.
A big part of your transition game is having those wings be able to catch it and shoot in a hurry. He's a guy that he's got
He can.
trigger with that.
He can do that. Yeah, and I'd say that's the one part of our game that hasn't been as good, Jordan hit a couple that way, and Cohen's more getting to the rim. And if we had somebody on that other side, that would really help. And so, or subs coming in. So I still think Trey and Kerr are important to us, as I think Cam and Jesse are, and I think Denham is. That's why I had the meeting with the 5 of them. I think they're going to be a big part in how we play down the stretch.
I'll let you go without another mom question. How about you sent me of the wall art at your mom's home that's Google posted? Your mom dribbling and shooting? Have you seen that?
Yeah. Was that the one with the big poster?
Yeah, big poster.
Yeah, that was a conversation piece, when most of the people around you are 85, 95, and 100 years old, and she's in a great place, but that's a conversation piece, I don't care who her son is, they care who she is, and the stance, the dunking, the dribbling, the shooting, awesome, isn't it? Awesome. What's really awesome is now there's coaches around the country that have always done the same thing, said their kid couldn't guard this or their mom couldn't do this, but instead of them using their mom, I've heard 2 or 3 coaches say, well, Tom Izzo's mom. So my mom owes me a lot, man. She's famous because she owes Kerr a lot, and Kerr's been great. So it's one of the things that you can have a little fun with in this job. And it's not insulting, you know why? Because you all been at practice. And that's one of the cleaner things that you say about somebody. And every coach in the country has one of those, you're weaker than my mom, you're weaker than my 1-year-old child, It's just our way of trying to give motivation to somebody, and it happens a lot of different ways. It's a hell of a poster. Yeah, it's a big one. It's 24 by 36. Got all of her, famous moves on it. It's good. What's that?
Keep her a little humble.
I gotta keep her humble. That's right. I call her and say, Mom, Kerr's shooting it better now. Maybe you couldn't guard him today. So I talk to her every day about it. I'll keep her humble. I'm usually pretty good at keeping people humble, although it's a little harder when it's your mother. All right, guys. Anything else? Thanks.